Ooh, spooky cat. Welcome to Up All Night DIY. I'm Monica. Thanks for joining me. Today is the Spooky Cat Challenge. Look at all of these creative ladies participating. Luana of Muggy DIY brought us together for this vintage Halloween collab. Each of these ladies are in a league of their own. We'll each have a spooky cat in our projects. I'm making a faux black cat lantern. Let's get into it. I'm using a 5.6-inch styrofoam ball. I've cut a flat spot on the bottom to keep it from, rolling away. I'll be using Model Magic to cover the ball and to sculpt my cat. This is a large ball, so I grabbed a heaping handful of clay. I'll knead it a wee bit before rolling it out with my brayer because I want this to be really nice and thin. I drape the clay over the ball, pressing it to ensure that it's really well adhered. I'm working it with my fingers and I'll roll it on the table to smooth it a bit as I go. I'll keep adding clay until it's completely covered, again using my fingers to incorporate it with the clay that's already on the ball. You get the idea. Once it's fully covered, I roll it again to smooth it the best I can. I cut templates of the cat's features from cardstock. I use straight pins to keep them in place while I trace around them with my pointy tool. I want to leave an impression in the clay. So not too deep, just enough to be visible. Yep, that's good. So here's my inspiration piece. It's a folk art lantern from Gibson Art Company. It's from 1937. Now, mine is a faux lantern, as in not actually a lantern at all, but it will have a similar look. So I'm just going to finish up his eyes. And now to make his ears, I start with a clay log. I stretch it a bit and flatten it somewhat, giving each end a soft point to make like an eye shape. You'll see what I mean. See? Looks like an eye. I'll cut that in half to give me 2 ears. I'll place them on top and use one of my tools to press the ear clay onto the head clay. So see, I'm just kind of pressing the very end of the ear into the clay on the head. Doesn't really take much. I'm rolling thin canes of clay, which I'll use to outline his features. I'm starting with his eyes, pressing the cane around the impression. And I'm just going to press it on there a wee bit. I don't want to distort it, but I want to make sure it's well stuck. And I'm going to continue this with all of the features. I'm actually going to make 2 of these for myself, but I'm just going to show you me making the one. So now I'm going to set him aside to dry overnight. Meanwhile, let's make the faux lantern. I'm going to score my scrapbook paper every 1/2 inch. I score the white side at the 1/2 inch mark all the way across the paper. Then I flip it over to the stripe side and I'll score at the inch mark all the way across the paper. That'll give me 1/2 inch folds, just like if I were making a paper medallion. Now I'm going to turn my paper sideways, scoring at the even inch marks, starting at 2, then at 4, and so on. Then I'll flip it over and score at 1, 3, 5, etc., giving me a 1 inch fold. Cut my sheet in half at 6 inches. Then I cut one piece down to 8 inches. Apparently my camera went off, but that's what I did. You get the idea. So now I have 2 pieces. One measures 8 by 6, the other 12 by 6, and I'll accordion fold each piece parallel with the stripes. Then I fold them at the score marks perpendicular with the stripes. These are the 1 inch folds. I hot glue the two pieces end to end, overlapping the first fold on each end to make one long sheet. I think it's about 19 inches long. Using hot glue, I'll attach floral wire into the first, middle, and bottom perpendicular folds. I'm starting with the middle. The wire will give the support that we'll need to, give the look of a paper lantern. Now I'm going to fold it again, just to give it that extra little bit of crease, to reinforce it kinda. So now I'm adding the top wire. I'll do the same thing, and then I'll repeat it with the bottom wire. I have this old coffee can here. I'm going to wrap my paper around it to give it its shape. I'm going to use the pen to mark where the paper overlaps, and then I'll remove the can. I use clips to hold my paper in place, lining it up with the marks. And now I'll hot glue the seam together. I want to make sure that that's really well stuck there. Right, so now I'm going to fold the top and bottom sections toward the inside. This part took a wee bit of doing, but I'll add creases right along the folds that have the wires, and I took my time because I didn't want to tear the paper. I'm really utilizing my thumb here to get into that crease to make that fold evident. Now I'm going to come at it from the other end, and then I just kind of squish it down to make those creases. I gently open it and reshape it since it did get a wee bit jacked up. But hey, it worked. Sort of. I cut cardstock circles, which I'll glue to the top of my lantern. I traced around the coffee can to get the right size. So now I'm going to pop the lantern over this container because the cat's head is going to need, something to support it. There, that's good and sturdy now. Okay, so I let this guy dry overnight, and he's ready for paint. I'll get 2 coats of CERAMCOAT black, except for his features. I'm going to do them separately. I painted the inside of his mouth with 2 coats of CERAMCOAT charcoal. Once again, didn't realize the camera wasn't on. Anyway. So now I'm going to paint his eyes with 2 coats of CERAMCOAT apple green. His nose gets 2 coats of CERAMCOAT bittersweet orange. I'm using CERAMCOAT Oyster White and a thin liner brush to add his teeth. I did keep the inspiration picture handy so I could refer back to it. I'm using CERAMCOAT charcoal to detail his teeth. And I'm going to use the end of my paintbrush to dot his eyes in, and that's also with CERAMCOAT charcoal. This is absolutely the easiest way to make eyes. So I first painted his lips with bittersweet orange, but I wasn't feeling it. I thought it was too bright. So I went over them with Americana Warm Sunset. Let's add some highlights to his eyes with Oyster, just dotting them on. Dotting and kind of pulling down a wee bit. As always, I'll have all my paints and supplies listed in the description box. The outline to his nose and eyes will be CERAMCOAT Hippo Gray. And I'm going to do touch-ups anywhere that's needed. He'll get Hippo Gray brows, and let's add some to his ears too. Some Oyster White whiskers. And I'll put a wee bit in his ears too. To add a little bit of age, I'm going to dry brush him with Hippo Gray, then I'll come back in with charcoal. I'm really trying to catch the edges of the outlines with that charcoal. You know, really grunge it up a wee bit. I'll seal him with a top coat of Mod Podge. I'm just using a cosmetic sponge to apply. While that dries, I'll glue the container into the paper lantern. To embellish, I'm gluing some festooning around the bottom of the lantern. I'll link my video that shows how to make the festooning in the description box, in case you're interested. I'm using both 3-in-1 glue and a dab of hot glue to attach the head. And we're going to add some festooning around the top. And that's it. He's done. Let me know what you think. Here's a final look. Please be sure to check out all of the fabulous creators in this collab. They each have their own distinctive style, and they're all uniquely creative. Show them some love. You'll find links to each of their channels as well as the playlist in the description box. Please like, share, comment, and subscribe, and all that good stuff. Stay creative, my friends. Thanks for hanging with me. See you next time. Up all night with Monica.